Cities are defined by their cultures. Those cultures could entail sports or business or certainly arts and entertainment. Oklahoma City is thriving in all of these areas. But who makes that all happen? This Town OKC explores the people behind the cultures, their origins, their motivations, their challenges, and their dreams. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. I've been in this town for over 50 years with a front row seat to seeing the culture grow from a dusty bus stop on the Southern Plains to a flourishing destination. Join me as we meet the folks behind the culture on This Town OKC. Roberta Sloan, thank you so much for joining me on This Town OKC, sponsored by Carpenter Square Theater because they let us record in the rehearsal studio.
Well, I'm pleased to be here.
As I just mentioned to you off mic a moment ago, I've known you for a long time, a few decades at least, but I don't know your entire story. So this is your chance to tell us your oral history. Where were you born?
I was born in Winnipeg, Canada.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
See, there you go. My mother was Canadian and my father was American. At that time, it was before my mother became an American citizen. And my father was in World War II. He was stationed in North Africa.
So was mine.
Really? Mm-hmm. A medical doctor.
Okay, mine wasn't.
And my mother really was told not to carry another child, but they went ahead and did it anyway. And so she wasn't feeling really well, so she went home to be with her mother in Winnipeg, and that's how come I was born in Winnipeg.
Okay, all right. How long did you live there?
3 months.
I understand.
Although, with the present situation in the United States, I've said to my husband, maybe we should move to Canada.
Yeah.
I am a citizen there, I just have never gotten a passport.
Yeah.
And he said, if we were 10 years younger, but
yeah,
doesn't make sense right now.
Right. So, after 3 months, where did the family move to?
Well, back to Chicago.
Chicago, okay.
Is where my dad and his family, his immediate family, lived. My father's history was that, well, both my parents were born in what was then Russia and would now be considered the Ukraine.
Okay.
And my father came over with his immediate family. That's a long story of how that happened, but it did. And everybody was killed during the Holocaust. Oh. My father had so many, I mean, it was a family of 3, but, you know, in those days they had so many children. So he had so many aunts, uncles, cousins. Out of all those, only 2 cousins survived.
Oh, my goodness.
And so it was really fate, I guess, or a miracle that he came to the United States. My mother, on the other hand, so he was born in Zhytomyr, which is near Kyiv. And my mother, on the other hand, was born in Odessa, and her family came over to Canada when she was about 3 months old.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And you lived in Chicago your whole youth?
Yes,
and
I did.
High school, did you go to college in Chicago?
Well, actually, I went to Northwestern, which is 20 minutes outside of where my parents lived.
Yeah.
And so it isn't exactly Chicago, but it certainly is close. So
considered.
That's where I got my BA in theater, in drama education. And I was quite young. I mean, I went through school really quickly because my dad was ill, and he wanted to see that done if he could.
Okay.
And then when I graduated from Northwestern in '66, I went to Michigan for an MA in theater, but I liked it so much, and I was crazy about the studies and what I was learning. And they liked me. And then in the 60s, you know, there was a lot of money for education.
Right.
And they said, well, why don't you stay and go for your PhD and we'll support you. So
nice.
That's what happened.
Let's back up just momentarily to high school. Did you do plays in high school?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I did. And I directed them, and
Nice.
I was in them, had a great time.
Do you have a favorite play that you were in or directed? A favorite memory of high school drama?
Well, my best friend in the world, who is still my best friend in the world, which is like over 65 years of friendship, I directed her in Time Out for Ginger, and she played Ginger. That's
Okay.
a very fond memory.
Okay.
In fact, she and her husband will be coming in a couple of weeks. He's going to direct. He's a very gifted artist, director, producer, film, all kinds of Ebony Awards, fantastic person. And he's going to come and direct our next show for Jewish Theater of Oklahoma.
Oh, nice.
And his wife, my very dear friend, who is a jazz singer and has been in plays and on film, and the two of them lived in San Francisco for a long time. And they were in the professional production of Godspell.
Wow.
After it opened in New York. Mm-hmm. So he was the first Black Jesus.
How
And
wonderful.
of course, that works in San Francisco really well.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to hosting them, and it's going to be such an interesting production.
We'll get to that later in this podcast.
I'm just going on and on. Sorry about that.
So let's go back to Chicago, post-college, post-PhD. You're in this fabulous theater city.
Whoa. It wasn't fabulous then.
Okay.
At that time, there was Northwestern Theater, the University Theater. There was the Schubert, where you'd have traveling shows, professional shows come. And there was the Blackstone Theater, where also you'd have professional shows. There wasn't much theater in Chicago at that time. Plus, when I graduated with my PhD in theater from Michigan, I had just turned 25. It was a week after my 25th birthday.
Okay.
And I had gone through school just all the way and gone to summer school so I could do it quickly. And I just felt that I needed to do something very different. So I decided to go to Israel and work on a kibbutz.
Oh, nice.
And learn Hebrew. I knew some Hebrew, of course, but this is the language.
Right.
And so that's what I did.
How long were you there?
Well, I was there for about a year. I was on the kibbutz for 6 months and then in Tel Aviv working for 6 months.
What did you do at the kibbutz?
Well, at the kibbutz, I was with the children.
Okay.
In the children's house. So, when I was starting to learn the language, I only knew certain things. So when a kid would fall, I'd say, zechaval, which means that's too bad. And that was about the limit of what I knew at that time. But it was a great experience.
Good.
To live on the kibbutz.
And then in Tel Aviv?
Less of a great experience, but still very interesting, and I enjoyed it. I think, they wanted me to stay on the kibbutz. They wanted me to become part of the kibbutz. But I thought with a PhD and all the work that I put in, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I would have stayed in Israel, except my father got ill. And so I had to come back to the United States. So I've said to Steve, let's move to Israel. And he says, we're too old.
Well, in my studies, I used to do improv, and so I read about Second City and the Compass Players before that and how those people all came from Northwestern.
Absolutely, they did. The person who developed improv theater, Viola Spolin, was from Northwestern. And in fact, when I was at Northwestern, I was with Second City Children's Theater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So one of my specialties in teaching has always been improv.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. What performing did you do in Chicago? Any in those days?
No, just with the university.
Okay.
you know.
Okay. How long were you in Chicago, and where did you go afterwards?
Well, afterwards, after school, I went straight to Israel.
Right.
So I was there for a year.
So you went back after?
And I came back, and my parents had moved to Florida, and they put their remaining furniture in an apartment, which they expected me to live in, and then substitute teach in the high schools, which, I mean, made no sense whatsoever. And I got really depressed about that. So my friends, Clea and Ron, the ones I mentioned before, said, well, why don't you come out to San Francisco just for Christmas vacation? And, you know, so you've heard about the man who came to dinner and stayed. I was the woman who came for Christmas vacation, and they said, you're not doing real well. Why don't you stay with us for a while? So I was with them for 8 months.
Okay.
During the time that they were doing Godspell, actually.
Okay.
And so that was it was great. I loved it. But after that, I kind of decided, well, here I am. I'm 27 years old. Probably time to get into academics. And
after all, you do have a PhD.
After all, I did have a PhD. And you have to set this in context. The context is that at this time, the women's movement was taking place.
Right.
And so I applied to various places and was offered jobs and decided that the one that looked most interesting was the one at the University of Oklahoma in the drama school, in the drama department. I don't think it was a school then. And so my mother said, how are you going to meet a Jewish man in Oklahoma? And I said, well, Mom, I'm going for a job. It doesn't look like I'm getting married because, for a Jewish woman to be 27 and unmarried is like an old maid at that time.
Right.
At that time. So I had to look up Oklahoma on the map because geography wasn't a great subject at the Chicago Public Schools. So I flew in and interviewed, and it seemed like a good thing. So I came.
And this is late 60s?
No, this is early 70s.
Early 70s now, okay.
This is like 72.
Okay.
And I came, and come to find out, I was the first woman they hired in theater ever.
Ever?
In 72. There were 2 dance professors, but the first woman in theater. And it was a very tough situation.
I'll bet.
At the first faculty meeting, Nat Eek turned to me and said, well, you'll make the cookies for the faculty meetings. And I said, well, I'll do it once. And that's how it started out. And it went on from there. I mean, they wouldn't let me direct a main show because the men did that.
Right.
I mean, I could go on and on about, other people they offered summer employment to, not to me. It was a very toxic situation.
What did you do in the summers when they wouldn't let you teach?
Well, my father had passed away in that June, so I went to be with my mother. She had never written a check in her life. She rarely drove. She just needed help.
Right.
And that first year that I was at OU, I met Bruce Govich, who is a music professor. And I just really thought he was a terrific person, and we really got along well. And he said, Roberta, Steve Sloan and you would be perfect together. Steve was on a Fulbright in Kathmandu, Nepal at that time. He wasn't on campus. And I said, Bruce, I've been fixed up before, and I think I can wait. But, the year went on. My father passed away. I went to Florida, and I had this, I applied for a job there at Marymount University, and they offered it to me. And my mother said, oh, take that. And I said, I had a dream that I was going to meet someone when I went back to Oklahoma. And I don't know if in the back of my head that was Steve Sloan or what. But I went back. Bruce used to have a very big party house almost every night. But anyway, he said, I'm having a party. Why don't you come over? Steve Sloan will be there. He called Steve and said, oh, Steve, in the year you've been gone, I got divorced. And Steve said, well, I'm sorry. He said, no, but I got remarried. And Steve said, congratulations. And so we're over at Steve's house. We're standing around the kitchen. Steve is standing there. He looks around. Oh, by the way, he was wearing Carmen DeSapio glasses, very short hair, and a puce shirt. And so I looked at him and I said, this is what I'm supposed to be attracted to, to myself,
Right.
And he looked around the room, and I was the only woman there who he didn't know, so he assumed I was Bruce's new wife. When in actuality, Bruce married a wonderful student, Marilyn Govich, who is still teaching after 46 years at UCO and is a terrific voice professor. But anyway... So
and the mother of a couple of really fine performers.
Oh, absolutely. Matt and Milena and Nicola.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Steve went away for 2 weeks teaching in Saipan. Comes back. We're both at Bruce's house again. Not big party, smaller group. And we sit down and talk. And we talked for about 3 hours. And afterwards I thought to myself, well, he's more attractive than I initially thought. You know how that goes.
I do indeed.
So we started dating. And do you want that whole story of our courtship? Because it's kind of fun. So we started dating, and after about 3 weeks, he said, Roberta, I really like you very much. I want to continue dating you. But you have to agree to 2 things. I'm never getting married again, and I'm never having any more children. So I said, well, I'll think about that and get back to you. So I go back to Bruce, tell him, Steve doesn't want any more children. He doesn't want to get married. Those are 2 things that I'm interested in. And Bruce said, oh, he'll change his mind. So I went back to Steve and said, okay. Well, then we decided that we'd live together in the 2nd semester.
Okay.
And he was visiting his mother over Christmas in Naples, and I was visiting my mother over Christmas in Pompano Beach. And, it's just an alligator alley separating that. Mm-hmm. So we decided we'd get together during that break. But then I'm with my mother, and I get this phone call at 6:30 in the morning. Apparently, Steve had been up with 2 friends, drinking Courvoisier the whole night. And he said, well, I want to marry you. And I said, great, I accept. Hang up, and my mother says, what kind of nut calls you at 6:30 in the morning? And I say, the nut I'm going to marry. And so then I go over to his mom's house in Naples. And he says, well, let's take a walk first before you even talk to my mom. I said, okay. So we take a walk, and he says, I've been thinking about it, and I think it would be a good idea for us not to get married, but to live together for a while and see how that goes. And I said, Steve, before you proposed, I would have lived with you. Now that you've proposed, I insist upon marrying you first. And so we got married. It was 5 months after meeting each other at Bruce's house, a quick engagement and marriage. And that was 51 years ago.
Wow.
So
that would have been 74?
74.
Okay.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
Because I was at your 50th anniversary last year.
Yes. It was, I've been very fortunate in my marriage.
Yeah, he turned out all right.
He turned out all right. I've never had a bigger supporter. He's so intelligent and so erudite, I'm never bored.
Yeah.
And I hope he isn't either. He happens to love theater. What a blessing that is.
Boy, no kidding. No kidding. So how long were you at OU?
3 years. I started complaining about some of the things that I perceived were misogynistic. And I was coming up for tenure after 3 years, and they didn't give me the contract.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So I went to EEOC and complained. And EEOC did a 6-month investigation and found a cause decision in my favor. So OU at that time stonewalled it and said, well, we want another investigation. So they did a second investigation, came out with the same result. And whereas many universities would have said, well, okay, let's get together and work this out, OU didn't.
I'm shocked.
Why are you shocked?
I'm not shocked.
It was the time.
I'm not shocked at all.
It was the time. It was very painful.
I'm sure
I was newly married, and
Right.
and the whole thing. It was just really hard.
And Steve is teaching at OU as well.
Right, and that was part of a difficulty too.
So where you obviously stayed in Oklahoma.
I had to. My husband was
Sure.
employed here.
So where did you teach after that?
Well, I didn't. I became pregnant
Ah, okay.
during that interim and had my daughter Maya.
Yeah.
And
So talented, Maya. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you.
So talented.
Thank you. And there was an opening at OETA for a cultural coordinator. They got money for it. And I applied, and I got the job. So this was a whole new arena for me. The first 6 months were really going around and meeting all the artists in Oklahoma at that time, visual, dance, performing, whatever. And then when I came back to the studio, I did a proposal for a show called Arts Encounter, an interview with the various artists and some performances. And Bob Allen, bless him, at that time, said, well, I want you to be the host. And that I didn't expect. But I had great fun with that.
Yeah.
Did that for about 3 years.
I had forgotten that you had done that.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a long time ago.
It was. And I had some wonderful people on. The Carries, who were the opera singers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Yes, Thomas and his wife. There was a Russian dance group that came in, and I interviewed them. I mean, it was just really great to be able to do that, to interview artists, and Yvonne Chateau danced for us.
Wow. Wow.
You know, it was an amazing experience for me anyway.
Yeah. So 3 years at OETA doing Arts Encounters.
During that time, he promoted me to production manager.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got your experience in TV production.
Absolutely. And we did some award-winning things. We did something on the square dancing convention that was happening in Oklahoma City, and that was carried by other stations. But the one I'm proudest of, we did a program, a documentary called The Story of Native American Painting.
Okay.
And we interviewed for it a number of artists who have since passed away. And I know that is in the gallery of OETA. It won awards, and it was carried regionally.
Nice.
It was really a wonderful experience to be able to do that. I think I dragged Bob into the 20th century in some ways. You know, I'm Jewish. And so I said, well, Bob, I need to take off the Jewish holidays. And he said, oh, well, okay, take vacation time. I said, no, that's not it. He said, well, take personal leave. I said, no, that's not it. I said, this is a religious holiday for me. Let me give you an example. I don't mind working on Christmas. And all of a sudden, ding, ding, ding,
Right.
the light went on, and
Right.
we worked through that.
Okay.
I owe a lot to Bob. He was really a wonderful mentor.
Well, and he gave me a start, too.
Did he really?
I became an on-air pledge pitch person with his blessing and did that for 20 years.
Wow. We must have, when was
I
that?
started in probably 97, 98.
Oh, no. I was way before that.
So after OETA,
Well, I decided that I wanted to try something different. So I had a mentor over at Channel 9 just across the way, and he suggested that I apply to various advertising agencies, and I applied to Holderby Associates, and I was hired there and became creative director there.
nice.
And
And that's how you got into TV advertising.
Yeah, many, many commercials.
Right.
You know, produced them, and I was the voiceover for Streets, women's
clothing,
wear,
yeah.
like 125 commercials or something like that. So that was a great experience,
Nice.
too.
And then didn't you ultimately go out on your own?
I did, yes. It took some of my, it took almost all of my clients with me, yes. And I did that for a while. And then I heard there was an opening for an adjunct in advertising at UCO, so I applied for that, and I was an adjunct and for a year or two, along with my company. And then
this would be, by now we're into the
80s.
80s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then there became an opening in the theater minor. And I applied for that, and Cliff Warren, again, a wonderful mentor and supporter to me through many, many years.
Me too. He was a big fan of mine.
Wonderful man, wonderful. Such a creative individual who really supported the arts. And so he chose me. And all of a sudden, I was a full-time faculty member, assistant professor at UCO. And at that time, there were seven majors in theater. Can you imagine? And the only two people...
7 students majoring in theater. Okay.
And Don Bristow and I were the only faculty members. And that was in 1988. And I stayed there until 2004. So that's 16 years. In that 16 years, we grew the department from 7 majors in a track in communications. I'm just wondering how to say this exactly.
Well, as I recall, the degree was oral communication.
That's right.
With an emphasis in either theater, speech, or broadcasting.
You've got it.
Because mine is in
Right.
broadcasting.
So we went from that size in 16 years. We built into a department of theater and dance quite separate from communications, much to the chagrin of some of the communications people. And by the time I left, we had 165 majors.
Wow.
And many more faculty members.
Yeah.
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 So that was great.
Yeah.
When I was there, I mean, we had so many talented majors. So many of them have gone on all over the country
Right.
and are doing fantastic things.
Yeah.
So it was, I think the first group that really was impressive were 5 who studied together and got into MFA programs all over the country, totally paid.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
that was great.
So back in those days, I worked at UCO from 81 to 84, 85, something like that.
We just missed each other.
Yeah, Lee Hicks was there in those days.
Yeah, he was. He had retired by that time.
Oh, okay. He had been a professor.
I think I was the new Lee Hicks.
Ah, okay. There you go. There you go. When I was a student there in the early to mid 70s, as a broadcasting student, I had to take an intro to theater class, and he was the professor. And
Yeah.
and of course, one of the requirements unofficial requirement of every student in the class was to come up with your Lee Hicks impersonation.
Oh, really? That's funny. That's funny. Lee and I were in a show together at Joe Box, Broadway, let me think, Broadway Bound
Okay.
by, it's one of the trilogies.
Is that a Neil Simon play? Yeah.
One of the the last of the trilogies.
Okay.
That was fun.
I'll bet it was.
It was.
And then at some point, UCO created a College of Arts, Design, and Media.
Right. I was there for that.
Yeah. I remember you hired me to write a curriculum for a media arts degree that I don't think ever happened.
No, unfortunately.
Too bad. Too bad.
Unfortunately.
But how? So when did that happen for you?
When did I leave, you mean?
Well, when did that start and when did you leave?
88 to 2004.
Okay.
And at that time, Steve and I had worked it out that we would both be able to retire at the same time and get our
Social Security?
well, no, not
No,
Social
too soon?
Security. Too soon.
Teacher retirement?
Yeah, the retirement thing from the state.
Yeah.
TRS.
Yeah.
So we did that, and, Steve felt that I had stayed in Oklahoma when I could have gone elsewhere because of him. So he said, I don't think many men are like this. He's an original. He said, well, listen, you stay because of me. Now I'll go where you want to go. And so I got the chairmanship at University of Central Florida in Orlando, and Steve became a fellow there in their, because of his wonderful background in terrorism and having written 13 books and on and on.
Right.
Just a pioneer in the field, he was able to move into a great position there. So we stayed there for 2 years, and then I was offered a position, and that was a large department. So that was, very interesting for me. But then I was offered the chairmanship at Temple University, which is 350 students in the theater department. And so we went to Philadelphia. And Steve says, and he became an adjunct there, which was miserable for him. But anyway, we loved Philadelphia. In fact, Steve says Philadelphia is his favorite place to live. And it was a wonderful department. And in many ways, I came just in time because they had put off their NAST reaccreditation for as many years as they possibly could. So, I was in charge of the NAST reaccreditation. That's a huge amount of paperwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that happened. Two of my favorite students at Temple have gone on to do fantastic things. One was Divine Joy Randolph, who won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, nice.
And has gone on to do all kinds of things. And another student who might not be as familiar to you, but she's on Ghosts.
Oh.
She is the black singer on Ghosts.
Oh, nice.
The
CBS
Danielle Pinnock is her
Okay.
name. So those two have just done fantastically. And
Nice.
I was so glad to be supporters of them.
What brought you back to Oklahoma?
Well, we decided to retire again, and we got this great gig. A friend of ours let us know about it, where we lectured on cruise ships. And when you lecture on a cruise ship, you go as a passenger, not as a crew member. And so we both lectured together. I lectured on performing arts topics. Steve lectured on terrorism and political things. And we did 18 cruises in 6 years.
Oh, my goodness. I don't think I knew anything about that.
So, and it was wonderful. We loved it.
This was year-round cruising?
Yes.
So you had no permanent address in the continental U.S.?
No, we did.
Okay.
Where were we leaving then? Let me think. Oh, we went to Florida.
Okay.
Because one of our sons, Steve's sons, my stepson, lived in Florida, and we thought that would be nice. And, with 2 grandchildren at that time.
So that was home base.
That was home base, and we lived in Coconut Grove, and we loved that.
Nice.
very vegetation everywhere, and it was wonderful. That's where our home base was. But Steve and I have been to over 80 countries.
Wow.
And a lot of that was because of the cruising, the lecturing, but also in 2000, we went on semester at sea as two professors.
Okay.
Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Well, about 650 students are on a ship with 27 faculty members and an umpteen number of staff members, and they get a semester's credit. At that time, it was through the University of Pittsburgh, and that was phenomenal. I mean, we went to 9 countries, but it wasn't like a cruise where you're there for one day. We were in these countries for 4 or 5 days, and we could develop programs for the students to have field trips. It was wonderful. We did that in 2000, and then we also did it in the summer of 2003.
Okay.
So that was really great.
Nice.
We loved it.
Nice.
But that's how we started accumulating countries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, and to be able to say that in 51 years of marriage, you've been to over 80 countries, I mean, I still can't believe it. We feel so fortunate.
Yeah. So at some point you thought, well, I need to go back to Oklahoma and sink everything I have into starting a theater company.
No. No. When we finished doing that, our daughter was moving to California and said, come to California. So we did.
Okay.
We were in California for 3 years. Other than being with our daughter, we weren't crazy about it. We have very good friends there, so that was fun. But everything is an effort in California. The traffic is horrible. We rented places so expensive, hard to get around.
Is this Los Angeles?
Yeah, we lived downtown Los Angeles.
Okay.
The only good thing was there was a Pilates studio right across the street. That was a good thing. So we didn't love that. Then in March of 2018, they were doing a seminar in honor of Steve in Oklahoma. It was more than a seminar. It was a 2-day thing, in Steve's honor. So we came back and we looked around and said, wow, in the 15 years we've been away, a lot has changed in Oklahoma City. Terrific highways, much more cultural things going on. Cost of living is so much lower than it is in L.A. We thought we'd move back.
Okay.
Which is what we did in 2019.
Okay.
Well,
Just in time for COVID.
Yeah, just in time. That's while we were in L.A., I did some film work.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, I won a Best Actress Award in a short film at the Glendale International Film Festival in 2020.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so that was a lot of fun. You know, I did a lot of kind of cool stuff. It's very easy to get work in LA as an extra or a featured extra.
Sure.
But this one film that I did, where I played Mrs. Brooks, an Alzheimer's patient, is the one that won the award.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we came back here, and I thought, I've always wanted to start a Jewish theater. When I was in Philadelphia, I got to know Theater Ariel. I was put on the board. When we were in L.A., I got to know the Braids, same thing, salon-style presentations. And I thought we could do that in Oklahoma. But then COVID came, so we started. I talked to all the rabbis, all 3 of them at that point, and they seemed enthusiastic. The Jewish Federation seemed enthusiastic. So we first started doing this online.
That's right.
Yeah. And then when COVID finally was over, then that's when we switched to in-person theater. That was 6 years ago. We're in our 6th season.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you rotate around the city to various venues.
Yes.
So you don't have overhead of keeping a facility going.
If I could convince you to go out and help us the way you did Carpenter Square, we would have our own facility already. Because you're amazing.
I'm afraid that was a one and done.
Just an amazing fundraiser.
Oh gosh, I don't have that in me again.
Oh, are you sure?
I'm positive. I'm very happy watching your plays wherever they are. So, other than the one fully staged production of Diary of Anne Frank,
which was done as a co-production with Poteet Theater.
Yes, and at the Poteet Theater at St. Luke's Methodist Church, your plays are presented as Readers' Theater.
Staged Readers'
Yes.
Theater, mostly.
Yeah.
This last show we did was more traditional Readers' Theater with stands, but it was very effective.
Yeah.
People really liked it.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, except I would like to do another one that is a full production. It would be nice to be able to do one full production each season.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
And I know for this season, let me just also say that I try to keep these interviews as evergreen as possible. I know you're bringing back a production that you did a couple of years ago called The Scribe.
Yes.
And it's a one-man show.
Yes.
But he's not reading the script because he wrote the thing. And
exactly.
and he knows what he's doing. And that was a fabulous script and production.
Well, we've been asked to bring it back because a lot of our patrons now, since we've grown, never saw that show.
Right.
So I was able to do that.
And that was in the early days following COVID because I remember we streamed that.
Yes.
Which was a technical challenge.
To say the least. To say the least. So we're bringing him back. We're not streaming anymore, but thanks to you, we have educational archival videos of our shows.
I'm all about documenting live theater. I think it's really important. I started documenting plays back in the 70s.
Well, I think it's really important to have that kind of archival footage.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And it's not to be put on YouTube or anything. No. I understand copyright, but they're just as a record to show that somebody did something.
Yeah, and it's good for the actors to be able to take a look and see and grow that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jewish Theater of Oklahoma does how many productions a season now?
Well, now we do 6, but, I think we've got to reduce that for the 7th season. I have 2 wonderful part-time people helping me, Tristan O'Hara and Rodney Brazil.
Yes.
And
both very talented.
Very talented.
And skilled.
Yes, I'm so fortunate to have them. I wish I had enough money to hire them full time.
Yeah.
But of course, they're so busy themselves, I doubt that could be a possibility. But I am getting to the point where 6 shows are too much for me. I'm the one-man band as far as the only full-time person. And I just turned 80.
Congratulations.
Thank you, this last August. And Steve, God bless him, is 89 and
no kidding.
Swims 3 times a week and does
too.
Physical therapy twice a week.
I first met him in the
pool, water,
in the pool at the YMCA downtown.
Yeah. So he's, for 89, my gosh, he's in good shape.
Yeah, he looks good.
Yeah, and the mind is still very quick.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Very lucky.
So fewer shows probably in upcoming seasons.
And maybe one of them full production.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And of course, there's one person I'm talking to about possibly coming who does a one-man show that would be very poignant. And I'm talking to 2 local actors, well-known actors, who, one's in Dallas and one's here, who there's a show they've always wanted to do, and I'm thinking of that. So, I try to get a variety. I always try to get one written by an Israeli playwright.
Sure. Yeah.
I try to do one that deals with the Holocaust on some level.
Right.
And then, you try to do comedies and dramas of contemporary nature.
Right. I passed over your short time at Oklahoma City University.
Oh, that's right.
Somewhere after you came back.
Well, actually, immediately after I came back in 2019, Lance is a friend of mine, Lance Marsh, who is the head of performance. And we were having breakfast together, and he said, is there any possibility that you might want to come for a year or so and be with us? Because we're really looking for it's July, and we haven't been able to hire a director, an associate of the college, and a director of the theater department. And I said, well, yeah, I'd entertain that. Well, the next thing I knew, I got a call from Mark Parker, and
who was dean at the time.
A fantastic dean. He and Cliff Warren were the two deans who I worked under who were just phenomenal. Anyway, he called me, and we went in for an interview, and the next thing I knew, I talked to Steve about it, and he said, well, do it. And so I said to them, look, because there's a 9-year difference in age between my husband and I'll do it for a year, and then I'll help you find someone really wonderful. And that's what happened. I found Jerome Stevenson, and he's really wonderful.
Yeah.
And he took over as the associate dean of the theater department.
And is now acting dean.
He's acting dean of the whole School of Music and Theater.
Yeah.
He did say, though, he only wants to do it for 1 year. That's very familiar to me, and we'll see what happens.
Well, back in 2018, I think it was, Doobie Potter called me and asked me to join the board of Carpenter Square Theater, and I said, I'll do it for a year.
Yeah, right. Well, it was a really good year, and OCU has a terrific theater department. Really terrific.
Yes, they do, yeah.
They turn out some great talent.
Yeah.
So I was happy to pinch hit there for a year.
Have you gotten to the point where you don't buy green bananas? It's an old George Burns joke.
Oh.
I'm so old now, I don't even buy green bananas.
Oh. No.
Okay. All right.
I buy yellow bananas.
Okay. I'll cut that out. I'm looking for a way to wrap this up.
Okay. So this is the way, if I had to sum up my life thus far.
Okay. Please do.
I've been very fortunate, just really fortunate. There have been a lot of ups and downs and challenges and opportunities, and I feel that not everyone gets all the chances that I've had. And of course, on top of that is a happy marriage with just the most wonderful person in the world, Steven Sloan.
Roberta Sloan, thank you so much for being my guest on This Town OKC. Sponsored by Carpenter Square Theater, edited by Fred O. Bishop. This has been a Lippert Media production. I'm Rick Allen Lippert.